morning, everyone. We're just going to get started on this month's webinar. Thank you so much for coming along. And just for those who don't know me, or if it's your first time, my name is Anusha. You would have seen me post a lot on Yammer, and I look after a lot of the communication channels. So if you have anything to share, anything cool coming up, please do let me know. We love to feature partners in the webinars and other comms that go out. We're going to make a prompt start today just because we have quite a few speakers to get through and it's going to take the whole hour. So please do use the IM feature to ask any questions that you may need, just because it would be, we don't have as much time for Q&A this time around, and the speakers will all respond either verbally or on chat to you all. So we are just going to move to our first speaker. This is the agenda for today, just in case anyone was hoping to tune into something particular. But Sindhu, do we have you on the call?
Yes. Hi, Nisha.
Fantastic. The floor is yours.
Great. Give me 1 second. I'll just share my screen. Let me know if that's come up. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So hi, everybody. Good evening. I am the open source lead at Microsoft for the APAC region, which includes New Zealand, by the way. When I say open source, it means supporting any of our Linux workloads or any third-party services which are open source on Azure. Forgot to say my name, Sindhu Chenkar. So what I'm going to talk about is essentially an event that we are hosting, a first-time virtual summit that we're hosting on open source workloads on Azure. This is coming up on the March 18th. It is a customer and partner event. The idea is, given that most of our customers are progressively using a mix of both proprietary as well as open source software tools and databases, it is important for us to support those customers no matter what they are currently using, and to bring those technologies and workloads to Azure. So while I think it's important to make customers aware of that, it's equally important that the partners understand what Azure supports from an open source perspective. So we'd not only like you to register for this, but we'd also like you to share this with your customers as well. So I will quickly just jump into the details of the event. We are going to have about 15 sessions across 3 different tracks. So it is an entire day session, but you could register, and then depending on what sessions you're interested in, you could either attend those specific sessions or listen to the other sessions later at a later point as well. The keynote is being delivered by GitHub. Given that a large majority of the open source community is happening or is working together, collaborating through GitHub. So we have the pleasure of having the VP from GitHub to talk about embracing open source and its culture as an enterprise. So followed by that, we will have 3 breakout sessions. Breakout tracks, actually, 1 for apps and infrastructure, 1 for developers, and 1 for data and AI. So as you can see, the topics are going to be various topics, services that Microsoft is hosting, first-party Microsoft services on Azure, as well as third-party partner services. So we have about 6 partners who are going to be at the event as well, sharing their ideas on services that they provide, as well as what they make available to customers through Azure. So it is Red Hat, we have SUSE, we have Databricks, we have Pivotal, as well as Elastic. So these are some of the partners. We have a great mix of speakers. from both Microsoft as well as our partner ecosystem. So please do make sure that you register. You can go into aka.ms/OSVS, which is the Open Source Virtual Summit, and we hope to see you on the 18th.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sindhu, and thanks for joining us. It was awesome to hear.
Everybody.
Awesome. I will get the slides back on. Awesome. Next. Oh, are you happy to share straight off?
Yeah. Hi guys, it's Paul Bauer here. Thanks again for joining today's session. I'm going to just jump in and do a little bit of a session on Teams calling. I'm going to share my desktop as we don't have my slides in this deck that's on display. So let me go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly touch first off on partner opportunity. Most of you have heard me talk about the Teams opportunity. Generally speaking, we've seen really great adoption of Teams across the New Zealand market and of course globally as well, both from our enterprise customers right down to small businesses. And it's really encouraging to see that a lot of our partners are deploying using Teams now. And it's a great way for us to be able to collaborate and connect with you guys as well. You can look me up on Teams anytime and ping me as well if you like. But the opportunity goes beyond just the core Teams experience, right? And I just wanted to throw up this quote here. You know, if you had any doubt that the Teams wasn't one of the most important things for Microsoft, then here's a quick quote from Satya, of course, our CEO. And so this is, you know, for us is we believe is a massive game changer for modern workplace and for the way that people engage and work. But as I say, it's more than just chat and channels and kind of collaboration in that regard. It's also the whole enterprise calling and voice capability. And so for those that aren't aware of this, when you first deploy Teams, you won't have a calls navigation icon. The opportunity for you and for all of your customers is to enable this service through one of our providers, telco providers that provides the service through what we call direct routing, which is essentially providing voice calling capability, giving you a DDI, giving you lines and the connectivity back into our data center for us to do the call routing and switching. And so we have a number of providers in the New Zealand market. I'm going to touch on those shortly, but just quickly, I just wanted to flash up just a couple of things to think about. This is the holistic view of the opportunity with Teams. So if you're not looking at Teams today, start thinking about the wheel of opportunity that you see on your screen right now around different managed services. And then when we think about the calling component, this is just an example. I'm going to build the slide out here. These slides will be available for you when we publish them in the Yammer community shortly. I won't go through all of it right here, but as you can see, when you add calling capabilities, so enterprise voice to Teams, there is a whole lot of other services that you can build in around that. And you're helping your customer to retire old legacy PBXs or systems that aren't compatible with, you know, kind of modern authentication and modern ways of working. So yeah, I won't go through all of those on the screen here, but lots of different services that you can work with. You don't necessarily have to be a IP telephony expert. We have that support coming from our telco providers as well, but it certainly pays to get skilled up into how Teams direct routing works. And to do that, we have a whole lot of before I jump on that, we've got a whole lot of services and practice guides online that will give you guidance on how to do that. And I've got a slide actually after this that'll cover that. So in the New Zealand market, we have today the major kind of telcos, if you like, providing Teams direct route calling. But we've also, through a couple of our CSP providers, they have both, or in two examples I'm going to give today, they've both launched Teams voice services and SKUs that you can buy directly from them, right? So rather than kind of going to a telco to buy it, you'll be able to buy and provision it through the standard CSP licensing that you know and use today. And so I want to go through two right now really quickly. The first one is Exceed. So Exceed has just launched their My Cloud calling service, which is powered by Cordia. And so they'll provide all of the call bundling and various different options for you to get to sell to your customer, all directly from the Exceed portal. And there's obviously some other things around, installation, setup, and those types of things that you want to think about. Again, I'm going to touch on the services work. So jump on, have a look at the mycloudcalling.co.nz site to have a look more about that. And also, a little while ago, we had Data launched their cloud calling for Teams service powered by TeleSmart. And so these guys have been doing a whole lot of projects already in the market. Probably many of you have been utilizing that. Those are the two key players that we have today through our CSP provider network that are offering voice calling. If you did want to do this yourself, it is possible. You can go and deploy your own session border controllers, provided they're one of our approved ones. Get in touch with Data through the details on the screen there. You'll get this from the slides later on as well. And I'm just going to jump out of there because there's one slide that I just want to quickly show, which I kind of hidden before and I meant to show it, but I just want to quickly touch on this. If you go to, here we go, adoption change management, calling meetings, here we go. So if you go to the, let me go full screen here on this, I'll unhide that slide. If you go to the partner Microsoft 365 portal, there is a whole bunch of collateral and content, which I alluded to, around how you do a teamwork assessment for callings specifically. So there's examples on the right-hand side there that you can see. So for those that aren't familiar, it's all on the Microsoft 365 Partner Network site, and I'll drop that actually on the IM chat window in a few moments as well. So feel free to ask questions on the IM window, and I'm going to pass back to Anusha now as well.
Fantastic. Thank you, Paul. I'll get the slide deck back up. And Ken, are you on the call?
Yep. Can you guys hear me fine?
Yeah, you are great. Sorry, this is just loading up. Give me a second. And just remember, guys, you can use the chat function to do Q&A, and this webinar is recorded if you want to refer back to anything later. And like Paul mentioned, the slides will be up on Yammer tomorrow if you need to access any links. Awesome. Just make sure this goes up. And Ken, when it does, if you want to take control.
Sure, sounds good.
Let's get to, yeah.
It has to reload again. So.
Is it reloading?
Okay.
Apologies.
Okay.
Cool. Can you see that?
Yep, I'll just take control now.
Fantastic.
Cool. Hey everybody, my name is Ken Wong. I'm the Partner Channel Marketing Manager for Enablement in New Zealand, for those who don't know me. And what I'll be covering is just basically an update on the new enablement activities we have by a month-to-month basis. So the first segment is actually some of the live webinars that we have available, and a lot of them are geared towards exam prep. So, as it says, if you're running, or if you're planning to run for any of these examinations in the near future, these are just some of the small snippets we have available. So, from the top downwards, actually, let's start at the bottom because I think it ties really well with what Paul was mentioning earlier. We do have a session for MS 700, which is managing Microsoft Teams. So around what Paul said, if you are looking to build a Teams practice, and if that's something that you guys are looking into, more deeply, feel free to sign up for that. These courses and these webinars are completely free. There's no commitment, but you can just tune into it. There will be recordings provided as well, and just for you to know more about it. There's no commitment that if you take any one of these webinars that you have to sit for an exam, for example. It could be good for your education and information as well. And now going back up to the top of the list, we have a lot of exams this particular month, coming month, covering towards the Modern Workplace suite, as well as some Dynamics 365, and it's a little bit light on Azure coming up. So we have the AZ400 for Microsoft Azure DevOps Solutions, looking, for anybody who's looking to develop new solutions. Microsoft Power Apps and Dynamics 365 Developer MB400. The MB901 for the Microsoft Dynamics 365 Fundamentals. So I think that's also a really good course if you want to look into Dynamics 365 as a potential practice that you might want to build. Unified Endpoint Management Technical Deep Dive. So that's going really deep into the modern workplace security play that is out there. MS700 I've talked about, and lastly the MS500, which is the Microsoft 365 Security Administrator role-based exam. If you guys are interested in any of these, fully encourage you to sign up for these courses. And we actually have more courses available as well. So if any of you are taking an examination down the line and you are curious to know if there's a webinar aligned towards that, happy to see if there's a recording or if there's an upcoming webinar that we can point you towards in terms of that. So next up, we have the SAP on Azure Bootcamp. Some of you may know that we were supposed to run this on the, first week of February, but due to some scheduling issues with the trainer, unfortunately, we had to push it back to the second week, of March. So that's the 11th to 13th of March. Just putting out there, I've covered this last time, but simply speaking, it's a very specific workload, we know, but it's very valuable for those who do have a vested interest in building that SAP practice, especially in how it can tie it on Azure and how Microsoft works in terms of that space as well. So it's fairly technical. It's really to understand what you can do to build up. It's 3 days, I believe, 3 or 4 days in terms of building up this, building a practice around SAP on Azure, like I've mentioned. Slide decks will be passed afterwards if you guys are interested to sign up for this as well. The other event that we have coming up, so this is new, is actually coming up next week, actually, and the week after. So on the 3rd of March and the 9th of March, we're running a security and unified endpoint management workshop. So this will be held in the Microsoft offices in Wellington and Auckland. It'll be coming free of charge. And it's really a day that we are targeting towards consultants and pre-sales that are looking to build their security and unified endpoint management practice. So in this day, it's a single day event, like I've mentioned. There will be having Kiran Kumar and Ryan Nguyen coming from Singapore, which are our partner technical architects from Singapore, and coming to show you the best use cases of the Microsoft technology in terms of how you can deploy this Microsoft stack towards security and unified endpoint management. The goal is to really leave with a practical understanding of these skills and kind of see how it works in action. And obviously, having them in a room means that you have the ability to ask any kind of questions that you may have towards, the use cases of the Microsoft technology. The other offer we have from Microsoft is we're actually running the Microsoft Certified Professional Blitz offer again. So for those who don't know what this is, back in December, we actually ran an offer with AltHouse. And simply speaking, we are running a discount on any course that AltHouse offers around Azure and Microsoft 365. The discount percentage is roughly around 60%, take or give a little bit, 1 or 2%. And essentially speaking, if you want to run any of those courses, you can go there right now and you can run a course. Actually, I made a mistake. I didn't put the discount code on this slide, but it will be active tomorrow. As you can see the date, it starts on the 28th of February and it will last till the end of March. So what I'll do is I'll probably put the new codes into the chat window, but they will not be active until tomorrow. But right now will be a good opportunity to browse what kind of courses, if you guys were looking to invest into training of yourself or your staff. This is a great opportunity that we are pushing out for partners to leverage. And by the end of the course as well, you will be given a free exam voucher to take the relevant exam. For more information on this, just feel free to just ping me on the IM window, and I'm happy to talk more about it as well. So all of that was in terms of direct Microsoft offerings. What we have here with the SMB fundamental workshops are actually workshops that are delivered through our distributors. So if you know who they are the Dicker Data, Ingram Micro, Ripe, Umbrella, and Exceed. So those are our 5 distributors in New Zealand. And I have an exhaustive list of who's running these workshops, but quite simply speaking, this is targeted towards our SMB partners who want to build a practice around Microsoft 365 and Azure. And they're looking to understand how they can build towards it. So as you can see here on the right, I've just taken a quick snip on, the invite. I've not included any registration information because all of these particular workshops are delivered by the disties for their partners specifically. So our recommendation is do reach out to the disties that you are working with specifically to get involved with these workshops. So just covering very quickly what's on here in terms of the Azure SMB sales fundamentals. It will be covering, what the Azure sales opportunity is out there. How can you build security and trust with Azure, and also just covering a lot of the general use cases you see, such as data migration to Azure, SQL, and yeah, just migration opportunities as well. So in the next page, so the distributors that are delivering the content are here on the left. So for Modern Workplace, we have Dicker Data, Exceed, Ingram Micro, and Ripe. And for Azure, we will have them from Exceed, Ingram Micro, and Ripe. So all of these all of these events are running in the month of March, all on obviously different dates. So once again, like I've mentioned, do reach out to the respective disties to get the registration links and to know more about each of these events. For the Microsoft 365 SMB technical fundamentals, we're talking more about what is the value proposition of Microsoft 365 to SMB. How do you move Office 2010 and Windows 7 to the cloud and to obviously the Microsoft 365 suite, and also once again talking a bit more about Teams and how all of that just kind of works together at once. Here's just a sample that we got from Ripe. So this is just the Ripe's page that they have very kindly given to us in terms of what the agenda looks like. If you guys want to know a little bit more about in detail of what's being covered in each of the days itself. So the sales fundamentals, the technical fundamentals, as well as the SMB sales fundamentals for Azure over here. I think that's it for me. If there's any questions in terms of any enablement activities or any kind of questions you had around what I've just covered, feel free to just put in the IM window, as I understand that we are a little bit short on time. And if without further ado, I'll pass it back to Anusha, I guess, to pass it to the next speaker.
Thank you so much, Ken. That was really helpful. And yeah, next up, I want to invite Danny, who's our next speaker. Danny, are you able to take control?
Yeah, let me take control. Thank you, Anusha. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm super excited to be here in New Zealand, in Auckland. So for the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to basically cover just two topics, right? I think earlier on you've heard Paul talk about Teams, and Teams definitely is one of our key growth areas and key priorities from an incentive perspective. So later on I'm going to talk about a CPOL process that is very much related to Teams usage. So the two topics I'm going to talk about today basically is an APAC campaign around customer ads, as well as some best practices around CPOL, so that our partners will have a much smoother process when you do your claims for some of the incentive programs. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to start on the customer ads campaign for our.
And sorry, Danny, before Danny jumps into that, guys, it's Paul Bowker speaking. If you aren't familiar with the base CSP incentive stuff, have a look at the webinar from last month where I covered that.
Great. Yeah. Okay. So for this particular campaign, I think for our CSP direct partners and our CSP indirect resellers, I hope this is not something that is new. We have been, largely driving a lot of awareness around the CSP customer ads accelerator in the global CSP programs. All right, this campaign basically pretty much works the same way as the global CSP customer ads accelerator that you're familiar with. But I think, what I'm happy about really is that for our CSP indirect providers, this is really a new earning opportunity for you. And I'm glad that we're able to, bring this earning opportunity for our indirect providers as well. So the way this accelerator works, right, for our indirect providers and for our direct bill partners, you're probably, this is the customer acquisition accelerators that I was talking about. That's part of the global program. This campaign itself leverages the Modern Workplace Customer Ads Accelerator, right? This particular campaign is only for Modern Workplace, only, right? So it's hopefully it's simple for you to understand. We're only focusing on Modern Workplace. And the way this works is for every new customer that you actually brings on, you will earn 5% of the monthly billed revenue between now till 30th of June, right? For the global accelerator, the CSP direct bill partners and the indirect resellers will earn 5% for the next 12 calendar months, right? But for this particular campaign, this campaign will end on the 30th of June. Therefore, the earning opportunity for all our partners is between now till the 30th of June. So let's walk through a numerical example of what the earnings will look like for a partner, okay? Say, for example, we have a customer that you have acquired on the 1st of October, and this customer is being billed $100 a month, okay? Now, and in February, the monthly billing reaches $250. That's when this customer will be considered a new customer. So a new customer is one which achieves $250 in monthly billing for the first time in the last 12 months. Okay, let me repeat that. A new customer is one that achieves $250 in monthly billing for the first time in the last 12 months. So if you look at this particular customer, it was acquired on the 1st of October. So it was $100 of billing. And for the first time, it reaches $250 in February for the first time in the last 12 months. So that's when it qualifies as a new customer. And that's when the partner will start earning 5% between now until 30th of June on the monthly billing, right? The condition is that the customer billing needs to be at a minimum of 250, right? When the billing stays above 250, the partner will earn 5%. So you can see in the blue line, that's the partner's earning for this particular campaign itself. Now as a CSP partner, obviously, this is an example for a CSP direct bill partner or an indirect reseller. You will continue to earn under all the global levers. For example, you get to earn the 4% core lever. You will still continue to earn your 5% strategic accelerator because this customer has purchased an O365 business premium, and a business premium is a strategic product, so you will earn your 5% accelerator. Under the global lever, you earn your 5%, right? And this campaign gives you another additional 5% on top. And as a partner here in New Zealand, so this local accelerator is not applicable for O365, but if it's a M365, exactly, if it's an M365, then as a New Zealand partner, you actually earn 10%, not 5%.
Yeah, so just to clarify, guys, it's Paul Bowker here. So just remember, our key drive is to drive Microsoft 365 Business and or Enterprise. And when you do that, we pay a much bigger accelerator on those 10% locally, correct, as well as part of the global incentive program. Yeah. So it's pretty lucrative.
Exactly. Right. So when you start adding up all these things, you can start to see how the incentives really start to add up. Okay. Now, I want to also just talk about an ineligible scenario. So let's say you have the same customer who purchases an Office 365 Business Premium, right? And you acquire this customer on the 1st of October, where the customer billing was at $300 a month, right? And then that billing starts to scale down to $100 a month from the 1st of October. And then in February, when the campaign kicks in, the monthly billing goes back up to $250, right? Now, your question might be, why is this customer not eligible for this campaign? Well, the reason is because if you go back to the definition of a new customer is one that reaches $250 for the first time in the last 12 months, right? So if you look back from the point from February, within that last 12 months, this customer has actually reached $300 before, right? Which is above $250. So in this instance, this customer is not considered a new customer, and therefore it's not eligible for the new customer ads campaign. All right, so I hope that this is clear. If there are any questions, please feel free to type in the IM window, and we can help clarify that if there are any. So next, I'm going to talk about the CPOR process. We've introduced this, I think, from the 1st of October for those partners who are participating in the usage programs for M365, the usage programs for Biz Apps, and the OSA Sell incentive program. These are largely dynamics programs. I think you're probably familiar with that change in the customer association methodology for these programs. In the past, these programs were based on DPOR, but they have now changed to a different customer association methodology, which is called CPOR, or Claiming Partner of Record. So there is basically a 4-step process where the partner, it puts the partner in control, right? So the partner will first need to associate a new customer in Partner Center, right? And once the partner does that, Microsoft will then send a notification to the customer to basically tell the customer partner A, B, and C has associated themselves with one of your workloads. If you agree, then you do not need to do anything. However, if you disagree or you choose to deny that association, then please let Microsoft know, right? So in that instance, if the customer does not respond to it, then the association becomes accepted. All right. And then what Microsoft would do is we would then review the POEs that the partners will submit, and based on the POEs that the partners submit for the claim, for each claim, Microsoft will then approve or reject the claim. All right. So let me quickly go through with you, the association process itself. The first step you do is you will go into Partner Center. You will then go to Customer Association. You'll go under Incentives, of course. You select Overview, and then you click on Customer Associations, right? One thing to call out, for all the claims that you do, you will be able to actually see the status in the Customer Association tab, which is the one below at the bottom, right? And approved status means that your customer association was successful, right? It does not mean that your claim has been approved. It only means that your customer association has been successful, meaning the customer did not deny, right? That they did not reject your association with them for a particular workload, right? And you being able to earn that incentive is then dependent on the POEs that you submit. Okay, so what are the steps? There's a 5-step process that you should follow when you are submitting a claim. Okay, so the first thing you do is select the relevant product, right? Is it business applications or whether it's at M365? You will first select the solution area or the product, and then you select the activity that you're actually claiming for, right? So whether are you claiming for the pre-sales activity and for the OSA Sell incentive, or are you claiming the usage incentive for Modern Workplace or Biz Apps, right? So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is when you will have to select your MPN ID that you want to associate this claim with. So as you go into Partner Center, as you log in, as you go in, by the time you get into this screen, right, you'll be able to choose from a drop-down list of your MPN ID that you would like to associate your claim with, right? And then in this step also, you will also indicate the customer domain name as well as the customer tenant ID that you're claiming for. All right. Step number 3 is then where you will select the workloads that you are claiming for, right? Are you claiming for Teams? Are you claiming for Office Pro Plus? Are you claiming for AAD? You know, there are different workloads that will light up, right? And you will select the relevant workload that you're trying to claim your incentive for. Okay, my advice here is this: only select the workloads that you are doing work for. Right? Microsoft has given the ability for partner to select multiple workloads, right? I know that there's a tendency for you to just select everything, but you do stand a risk of your claims being rejected because of an ineligible workload. All right, so only pick those that you are genuinely working, engaging the customer in driving the usage for. Okay. Step 4 is when you will then need to put down some context. Who is it in your organization? Who is the owner? You know, as well as the partner contact, and you will also indicate the customer contact and the customer email. Now, my advice here is that again, when you are putting your partner contact here, make sure that it is a contact that the customer is familiar with, right? I know that in many organizations, there is a team that's working behind the scenes, just administering incentives, right? And they are not exactly the people who are actually working in the customer's environment, right? Now, do not put the people who are working for incentives only, right? Because what this will do is, in the mail that Microsoft will send to the customer, they are going to put down this contact. So if the customer is not familiar with the contact that you're indicating here, there is a chance that the customer may reject it. Okay, so just make sure you put down a contact that the customer is familiar with, right? And last step then is uploading the POE. Okay, I'm going to share with you some best practices because some of our early learnings from partners who have submitted claims is that they're facing some issues in terms of getting either their claims rejected or getting a lot of questions related to the POEs that they have submitted. So we have curated some learnings from here that I would like to share with you so that you can take note of what these is as you're submitting your POEs to ensure that your claims is a smoother process. So first thing, right, as you go into the claims process, you could do two things, right? You could leverage the template that is in the Partner Center itself, right? And we would recommend that you leverage the template. So if you choose to do that, you could download the template, right? That's the first step. And then, right, 3 things that I want you to be aware of when you're submitting your claims. Number 1, submit your claims with precision, meaning make sure that those things that I talk about, right, indicate clearly the workloads that you're claiming for. Make sure that the partner names and all that stuff is clearly indicated. Make sure that you're completing you're submitting your claims on time to prevent issues with competing claims in the future, right? And I know I'm out of time. There's also some of the best practices that is in the slide, which I'll leave you to take a look. And I'll leave it with Anusha, who will share the slides with you later. All right, so I hope that was helpful. And if there are any questions, again, right, feel free to type them in the IM window and we'll answer them.
Thank you, Danny.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Let me get control back with this. Cool. These slides will all be up later. So next up, I'd like to introduce Anne Hall. So Anne helps partners with their agreements with customers, and her business, which is ITagree, provides legal agreements as a service solution to the need for agreements to be easy, safe, and to help partners make more money. So Anne, are you on the call?
Yes, right here, Anusha.
Fantastic. All yours. Do you want to take control of the slides?
Thanks.
Awesome.
Okay, so hello everyone, and thanks Anusha and team for the opportunity to present today. I'll be talking about CSP partners and your relationships with customers in terms specifically of your own agreements with customers and in the context of what you could potentially be missing there. So I'll share some observations from working with partners all around the world. If you're not a CSP partner, I think you'll find this content still useful and for your own dealings with customers.
Whoops. Did that not? Are you sharing a screen? Oh, I think she might have dropped off the call. Okay. What we might do is, Sid, are you on the call? Sid?
Yes, I'm on the call.
Awesome. Can we have you share your screen just until Anne comes back on and you can speak before?
Yes. Yes, sure.
Awesome.
Sure. I'm just gonna share my screen.
Thanks, Sid.
Okay. As a Microsoft partner in your day-to-day life, you may have some technical questions. For example, you are new to big data and you need some learning guidance. You don't know where to start. Or maybe you have an urgent project. Customer wants to move things from Google to Azure, but to be honest, you don't have a clue which two to use first. Or maybe you are an Microsoft ISV, you are working to develop an applications on Azure, and you want to modernize your existing solutions. You want some help, etc. So all in all, in your day-to-day life, do we have a channel to ask? The answer is yes, through Microsoft Partner Technical Service. And hello everyone, my name is Sid, in Partner Technical Enablement team, representing Partner Technical Service, and I have an amazing partner opportunity for you to learn about. So we all know that building a solid technical foundation is critical to the growth of your business. But did you know that Microsoft, as the first party, offers this great service that can help you ease your work? And more importantly, most of you are in meeting today are already eligible for this service, and you were not aware of this previously. So in the coming 5 minutes, you will know what is Partner Technical Service. Are there any prerequisites to use it? And the most important thing is how to use this service. So a partner technical service is a series of remote technical engagement with a partner technical consultant like me. We will be covering the real world scenarios that help you increase sales, accelerate app deployment, and deploy more effectively. So this service includes two parts. The first one is interactive technical webinars with fixed schedules and topics. Any partner can register and join, and you can ask questions about the demos and content being presented. We also call it one-to-many sessions. The second one is personalized one-to-one technical consultations. So if you have particular needs, such as architecture reviews, deployment guidance, feature clarification, competitive assistance, etc., you can also call it one-to-one. So the ultimate goal of our service is to help you build technical capabilities wherever you are in your life cycle. So whether you are just getting started or need help building a completely new solution. So we will help provide level 100 to 400 technical guidance and recommend the next step in your journey. Let's put this into reality and talk through some technical scenarios that are addressed in this service. So here are some high-level examples of the type of real-world technical scenarios covered where we can help close deals faster by providing proof of concept guidance and provide competitive assistance. We can help accelerate app deployment to get the partner modernized in their apps faster by providing service configuration and deployment guidance, and of course, helping partners with their technical requirements for publishing your apps in Azure marketplaces. So we can help partners deploy more effectively through test environment review and migration and deployment planning. So what is a partner technical service look like that can help you with this type of scenarios? So on the right side, you can see the technical journey for cloud infrastructure and management. A partner can join at any point along the wheel. Every service along that will help digitally guide a partner to the next step. Let's not forget, once you start engaging with us, you will receive a personalized recommendation of what service to consume next, which could amplify your future revenue stream. So in this particular technical journey, the first screen circle is a technical webinar called Introduction to Microsoft Azure IaaS, which covers the introduction of Azure infrastructure, including compute, storage, and networking. And this is a great foundation for the partner to get started with Azure. As a partner moves along that wheel, personalized technical consultations and technical webinars address the specific products and scenarios. So through the technical journeys, although the technical journeys are subject to change with new or retired services based on partners' needs and technology changes, this gives you a great idea of how you can build your technical capabilities as you get started, grow and optimize your practices. Now now that we've covered why partner technical service is important for you and what they are, here is a quick view of how a partner access the different engagement types. The interactive technical webinar is available at no cost to all partner network levels. When partners need a personalized one-to-one technical consultations, their ability to access these services depends on the membership level and the type of scenarios. For example, if you are interested in a specific technical consultation to help with, for example, deploying your customer scenario, you have some questions, or something like reviewing your proposed architecture, you need to use your partner advisory hours. As you can see, if you are a gold partner, by default, you have 50 advisory hours to spend per year. So if you've been aware of this benefit in the past, but unsure how the partners to leverage them, stay with me for one more minute. I will let you know. So how exactly do I need to do to open a case? Let's see the official way. So you go to the website, your partner center, navigate to the right page, sign in, fill out a form, describe your questions, then submit. So you may ask, is there an easier way? You bet the answer is yes. So all you need to do is write a letter, simple as that. You write down your question, followed by your MPN ID and the competency level, and send it to this mail address, askpds@microsoft.com. Done, and we will take care of the rest for you. A duty manager will dispatch your case to the right person. A technical consultant like me will reply you within 2 business days. Previously, the SLA for initial response time is 4 business hours, but now it's changed. But you can always copy me in your sister list, so I can help to accelerate the process internally. And then a PTC will assign to you to start a conversation, scope your questions, and ask you to provide more information if necessary. And then your question is solved. So don't miss out. So those are the solution areas that our service covers. And please check out the partner technical service page on the partner website at aka.microsoft/technical journey. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me, write a mail to me after this meeting. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Anusha.
Thanks, Sid. Thank you so much for that. And I know we have Anne back on the call. Anne, are you there? Sorry, I'll just start.
I am, yes.
Awesome. Are you able to take control?
Sure, I think so. Try that again.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, thanks. So take two. Thanks, Anusha and everyone. I'll be talking about CSP partners and your relationship with customers in terms of your own agreements with customers. Specifically, what could you be missing there? So I'll be sharing my observations from working with partners around the world. If you're not a CSP partner, I think you'll still find the content really useful. There we go. So we look first at three types of partners in terms of their approach to agreements. First, we've got Robert. Robert, obviously dangerously, does not use agreements. He's used to just agreeing things by phone or by email, doesn't instill a great deal of confidence in his customers, and he's certainly exposing his business to risk. Secondly, we have David. And David is probably the most common type of partner that I talk to. So they've got agreements, but the agreements aren't really that useful because they don't describe the service that David is providing well enough. And in talking to this type of partner, the types of issues that are coming up for them shows that their agreements are not really working well. And thirdly, we have Sarah, who uses a lawyer. She doesn't really get as much advice as what she would like because of the expense and the time-consuming nature of that. And, you know, for this session, for all of the three partners, the question is, what are they doing about agreements in terms of their role as a CSP partner? So I'll be looking here at what could you do to improve your relationships with customers in terms of agreements. And there are three ways. First, we'll look at how agreements can be used to help customers with their decision making around CSP and related services. Secondly, we'll look at how you can use agreements to help your customers understand your role as a CSP partner and the services you provide. And so look to save yourselves time and expense there. And finally, the fact that probably most partners think agreements are useful for, and it's probably where your focus is that, you know, it's great if you're sued and you've got a contract. Well, it's not great if you're sued, but if you are sued, it's good to have a contract. Okay. So firstly, just looking at agreements as an aid for your customers' decision making, you know, you're no doubt aware that good agreements protect against risk, but you need to get the customer in the first place. And certainly, you know, customers find it difficult to differentiate. So you want to be as professional as you can. And, you know, I've heard certainly of customers choosing their partner when they're selecting from 2 or 3 partners based on how professional they appear to be, because they don't really have that much other way of differentiating. And part of that is the agreement that they provide. Second aspect of that, in terms of aiding decision making, is that it's not just having an agreement, but having an agreement that works for your business and is easy to read, so that the customer can understand from the agreement what you're actually committing to do for them. And that's really a big problem area right there. When it comes to CSP, it's important to be really clear and to have an agreement that helps your customers understand your role in that capacity. One of the first partners to ask me about agreements for their role as a CSP partner was from California, perhaps unsurprisingly, and that was Ryan. And he said this was his exact words: for us, in having that our own agreement as a CSP partner with our customer, it gives us the ability to govern the CSP reseller relationship. And that's in terms of 5 things: payment terms, support, what's included and what's not, to establish our limited liability, and to establish a protocol for included and additional services, which is a really important one because obviously you want to provide services around that relationship, whether they're managed services, support services, or whatever else. So, that's great from the partner's perspective, but also from the customer's perspective. And then it enables the customer to get an understanding of what they need to know in a contractual commitment that the partner is selling that cloud service to them. A lot of the time, customers are really, really unclear of your role as a CSP partner, and I hear that from talking to business owners, CFOs, and so on. From a contractual perspective, just to touch on that quickly, and perhaps this is one of the most important parts, is as a partner, you've committed to the Microsoft Partner Agreement, and the customer obviously commits to the Microsoft Customer Agreement. But as a partner, you need your own agreement with the customer to cover that reselling of services, and that reflects those upstream contractual requirements. So that agreement right there is the one that's very often absent. Secondly, we'll look at helping your customers to understand your service. So we've talked about agreements being used as an aid in their decision making. Now, once they've signed the agreement, what do they actually understand about your service? And the Dave persona on the earlier slide, he's using an agreement, but the agreement doesn't describe his service very well. Maybe in demonstrations and so on, he's described things and on phone calls, but it's the agreement that's put in place that 6 months, a year, 18 months down the track, that's what is important. And from my perspective, this is the most important part, and it's where I see partners suffering. So it's not so much that they're getting sued, of course, that's actually very rare, fortunately, but it's very common for partners to have to deal with time-consuming and sometimes costly issues. So things that take extra time, things that you can't charge for. So, the bullet points I've put there, customers expecting you to be at their beck and call, providing additional services without being paid for them, and so on. A specific CSP example that I want to talk about is a partner, again in the States, but I'm seeing this filtering through, and CSP partners in New Zealand, Australia, and also the UK asking for these sorts of agreements because they're experiencing issues. So this is Amy from Washington, DC, and she provides managed services and sells Office 365 and Azure. And she told me that she had no problems with agreements. I said, that's great. How's your business going? She said, well, it's not so good, losing money all over the place, and she called it revenue leakage. So the very example she was dealing with right at the time when I was talking to her is that a customer had disputed a $30,000 invoice for Azure consumption. It turns out, they didn't realize there was a cost to moving data from to a lower priced storage area within Azure. And her agreement, perhaps unsurprisingly, was not helpful at all. So there was nothing about the basis on which those Azure services were being provided. We see the same in other types of services, whether it's a backup service you're providing, backup plans, and customers wanting to choose perhaps the cheapest option at the time, but then being very unhappy with the partner if they actually need to rely on that backup and find that it's not really giving them what they would have liked. So I'm hearing a lot of those sorts of issues from MSPs around the world. The next element of using agreements in terms of your customer relationships and improving things there. Obviously, this is the one that people think usually is the main reason for having agreements. As I've said, from my perspective and my experience as an IT lawyer for 25 years, it's the second one, helping your customers to understand, because it really doesn't happen often, as I said, that you're sued, but a lot happens around that performance, expectation, what your customers think you're going to be providing versus what you think you're going to be providing, and so on. Now, when you look at major fallout, you know, as I said, it doesn't happen very often at all, fortunately, and you want to try and deal with it through discussion and so on. But if it does and you face a legal claim, it's there's a very, very big impact on your business in terms of time, but also emotionally and financially. And you can't actually stop someone suing you, but you can ensure that you have a contract in place to limit your liability. So that's, you know, the backstop side of things. I've had plenty of partners talking to me over the years and saying, don't really need agreements. I don't have anyone suing me, you know, and that's the same old question, you know, like that I posed to Amy, how is your business going? Is everything as profitable as you'd like it to be? Because it's really that second component that becomes then the most important, about using the agreement to have everything clear, or to have processes, allow for change and so on. That's really important. So the analogy I've used here is in terms of house insurance. You know, although you don't really think your house is going to burn down, and it's not a very common occurrence, you wouldn't not have house insurance. In the same way, you shouldn't not have an agreement that limits your liability. Just to finish off, I'd just like to show you these two offers that I've created just for New Zealand partners. So we're working with partners all around the world, but I'm from Auckland and I really like being able to help New Zealand partners. So these are free offers. The first one is a consulting session, 45 minutes or whatever time you've got available, discuss the specific customer challenges that you might be facing around agreements and customer relationships relating to agreements. And the second is a review of one of your existing agreements, and I would then give you a report on some of the significant issues arising out of that. So you can see my email address there, and the booking link will take you straight through to schedule a time for those consulting sessions if you'd like to take that up. I've put there, if you could do that by 6 March, by 5 March, sorry, next week. Because I've set time available for this during March and April while I'm home in Auckland. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Anne, and thank you so much everyone for tuning in. Really sorry about going over time, and if you do have any questions for our presenters, please feel free to reach out to them. I'll put up the slide deck on Yammer tomorrow, and this has all the email addresses and things for every single speaker today. But to our speakers, thank you so much for coming along and sharing some very valuable content, and we'll see you all next month. Thank you.